instantly. Every week she was playing 2 songs. It took us 6 months to even finish half of the song. But now every week she plays 2 different songs, and it was a lot easier for her to identify everything. So that was the idea. That's how it all started. With a little kid, I started talking with the publishers, and they said, no, you cannot write a music book without the notes, because that's the traditional, it's a music book. There's notes, right? I said, no, this book will not have any notes. There will be different shapes, there will be colors, and the size of those shapes will change. And so I got kicked out of at least 6, 7 publishers. They said, no, you can just leave. And I felt very bad that nobody understood what I was talking about. So I stopped using it for a couple of years, and until one day, one friend asked me about the book. She said, Erman, you were very excited about this method. What happened to it? I said, no, I'm just going to use the traditional methods. I'm not going to do anything with the early childhood or special education and all that. But then there was that spark, and then one publisher came to me and said, we want to publish this book, and now we are worldwide.
Welcome to Cue the Magic Sing a New Song, a podcast that explores how music therapy can break barriers, spark connections, and change your child's life. I am your host, Angie Kopshai, a music therapy expert and the founder of the Global Music Therapy Project, a nonprofit organization dedicated to utilizing music's therapeutic power to enhance the lives of kids and parents just like you on a global level. I always say that music therapy is this miraculous thing that's not miraculous at all. It's science, and you'll be blown away by how simple it is. I am here to help you learn the techniques you need to create a happier, healthier household. Let's tune in together and cue the magic. I'm Angie Kopshai, and this week's Try This Tip is a step-by-step guide to using a song to teach a skill, particularly brushing your teeth. So imagine your kiddo brushing their teeth without a fight, without a tear, without a meltdown, maybe even smiling or giggling. That is the goal of this song. I wrote the song 16 years ago. I don't know why I don't have a recording available before now, but I do have a version in Spanish that will play at the end of this episode. So this song starts out a little dramatic, and it's intentional. We're trying to capture your kiddo's attention and maybe even throw a little humor in there. So be dramatic at the beginning of the song, and then it actually goes through all the steps involved in brushing your teeth. Ideally, we're around 2 minutes by the time it's done. There is a chorus that is repeated. It has 2 lines. Sometimes I really want to skip one of the lines, but if you sing both lines of the chorus every time in between the directions, I think it really helps you get to that 2-minute mark. The other thing you could do is just sing the chorus over and over at the end and really sing through the verses in the beginning. So I happened to be dating a dentist when I wrote this song, and I did consult him, so I feel safe in saying that it's dentist approved. So thank you, Dr. Ryan, for that. The day has been fun, it's been really great, but now it's getting late. Up to the bathroom I must creep. I have to brush my teeth. I love to brush my teeth, keeping away the cavities. I love to brush my teeth, keeping away the cavities. First grab the toothpaste and the brush, put a little on but not too much. I love to brush my teeth, keeping away the cavities. I love to brush my teeth, keeping away the cavities. Start on the bottom, go round and round, tiny little circles and up and down. I love to brush my teeth, keeping away the cavities. I love to brush my teeth, keeping away the cavities. Switch to the top row and repeat. My dentist will be so proud of me. I love to brush my teeth, keeping away the cavities. I love to brush my teeth, keeping away the cavities. After you're done, you spit, spit, spit. Whatever you do, don't swallow it. I love to brush my teeth, keeping away the cavities. I love to brush my teeth, keeping away the cavities. All right, that's it. As always, let me know how this works for you, and we'll see you next week for another Try This tip. Hey everyone, we have big news. The Global Music Therapy Project has finally been approved to host the ultimate PDX bingo game show. Think bingo meets game show madness with a late night twist. Win cash, score amazing prizes, and support a great cause. The proceeds go towards expanding the reach of the Global Music Therapy Project and making a real difference in the lives of children and families around the world, all while having a great time. Join our mailing list at pdxbingo.com to be the first to know when tickets drop. We can't wait to see you there. Welcome to Cue the Magic, Sing a New Song. I'm your host, Angie Kopshai, and today I'm so excited to be interviewing Erman Turkili from Turkey.
Yes.
Erman, can you tell us a little bit about your background in music?
Hi, Angie. Thanks for having me on your podcast. It's a pleasure. Well, my name is Erman Turkili, and I was born in Turkey and studied in Turkey. Started playing the violin at the age of 10 at the conservatory. And I went to America for my master's and doctorate. So I finished my master's at Pittsburgh State, and then I went to Florida State for my doctorate, all for violin performance degrees. But I have had an interest for so long for teaching. And as a person, I like to do things differently and I like to think differently. So that's what I do. And soon enough, I will be talking about my book and my method, the first steps of a little artist with you, and see how it is and what it is and how I do what I do. But I'm an assistant professor at Bahçeşehir University in Istanbul. I came back to Istanbul almost 13 years ago now from States, where I stayed for about 7 years and loved my adventure and my studies back in States and love to go back to visit. So I'm a violinist. I'm a violin professor at the university, and I teach kids how to play the violin at a young age, and also I teach graduate level courses and also doctorate courses. So my interest in teaching is especially with the early childhood kids and special education. So my book is also all about that. So we use my book with all the other teachers throughout the world now to teach kids how to play the violin or how to play the piano. The violin book is coming now. How to play the piano at the age of 2, starting at the age of 2. And also that book is being used in special education. So we have a lot of autistic kids, Asperger kids, and dyslexia kids that are using the book, and it seems to be very beneficial for them also. The only difference is with the early childhood, we use this methodology until the age of 5, 6, and with special education kids, we don't have an age limit. They can start anytime.
So what makes this book unique? Tell us more about this. It's called The First Steps of a Little Artist, right?
It's The First Steps of a Little Artist. Actually, I started thinking about this book when I was a doctoral student back at Florida State University. So I had a teaching studio in Dothan, Alabama. And so that was an hour, 45-minute drive to Tallahassee, Florida. So every day I would go back and forth. And so I would have a lot of time to think about different ideas. And so I had a student, and her name was Avery. She was at the time 9 years old. And every week we would come and play the violin and learn different things. But then she also had a sister, younger sister, who at the time was 2.5, Edison. And at the end of each lesson, Edison would also want to touch the violin and play a little bit. And then one day her mom came to me and said, would it be possible for Edison to start? I said, absolutely no. No, she cannot do the violin and she cannot play the violin. And just like the traditional music education approach for instrumental teaching, usually people advise to start at like 7, 8 sometimes, and 9 even sometimes. And I was always thinking that this is too late, but I didn't know what to do. At the age of 2.5, that's impossible. She cannot even hold the violin. That was my thought. But at the end of each lesson with Avery, so Edison would try to hold the violin and try to hold the violin case for her sister. And so she was very excited. But her mom came to me again for the second time, said, Erman, can we at least try? I mean, let's see what happens. I said, no, but okay, let's do this. So the following lesson came by and I tried to give more time for Edison that lesson. And I said, look, Edison, this is how we hold the violin. This is where the A, E, D, and G string. And now we have the A, B, C, D, E, F, G notes. So I tried to explain everything traditionally. And at the age of 2.5, it just didn't mean anything to her. So for 6 months, I tried to explain everything to her in different styles, but nothing worked. So one day, I said, I just can't do this. I mean, people are paying me for this and it's impossible to teach, but I wanted to do it. I just couldn't do it. The traditional approach didn't let me teach her. So on the way back to Tallahassee from Dothan, there's this big interstate 10, I-10. And so I was driving on I-10 and I was just thinking to myself, I said, Erman, when was the last time you thought of anything as a 3-year-old person? I was at the age of 26 at the time. And, when you are at the age of 3, when you think about it, A, B, C, D, the notes and the staff and treble clef and quarter note and half note and dotted half note, they just don't mean anything. I said, how about this? Instead of saying the E, A, D, G strings, how about I say circle? What would change? Nothing. So the following lesson, and I said, Edison, look, instead of doing A, E, F sharp, E, the twinkle, twinkle, we are going to do circle, circle, star, star, F sharp, star. So because I didn't know anything else to say after the open strings. And it was easy. So the following lesson, I was again driving and I said, instead of saying F sharp or first finger, how about I say circle, circle, star, star, and then yellow one star. And instead of saying first finger, we can have a yellow finger. And then our middle finger could be red and the other one would be blue. And so I was just making up stuff with the colors. And so I started drawing on her sheet music and she was instantly able to understand what it is. So she was identifying the strings, which are 4. And on the back side of the violin, I drew those circles and stars and squares. And also we gave different colors for 4 fingers that we use on the violin. Instantly, every week she was playing 2 songs. It took us 6 months to even finish half of the song with Twinkle Twinkle. But now every week she plays 2 different songs and it was a lot easier for her to identify everything. And so that was the idea. That's how it all started with a little kid. And then I worked on it more, finished my doctorate. Not in that my dissertation was a totally different topic. Then I came to Turkey and I started talking with the publishers and they said, no. You cannot write a music book without the notes because that's the traditional, it's a music book. There's notes, right? I said, no, this book will not have any notes. There will be different shapes. There will be colors and the size of those shapes will change. And so I got kicked out of at least 6, 7 publishers. They said, no, you can just leave. And I felt very bad that nobody understood what I was talking about. So I stopped using it for a couple of years and until one day, one friend asked me about the book. She said, Erman, you were very excited about this method. What happened to it? I said, no. I'm just going to use the traditional methods. I'm not going to do anything with the early childhood or special education and all that. But then there was that spark. And then one publisher came to me and said, we want to publish this book. And now we are in the worldwide. I was in Vienna last month talking about this book. And in October, I'm going to Tataristan. And in November, I'm going to London to give speeches at different academic seminars. So that's what I do. Actually, I have a presentation that I can show you about how it is and how it works and so that everybody can understand.
I would love that.
Sure. Let me share it. So you're able to see it and you're able to hear me. That's good. So the name of the book is First Steps of a Little Artist, and it's a different way of teaching early childhood children and also special education children how to play the piano. I just talked about that I used this method for violin. That was the first idea of it, but then the publishers wanted to have it for more piano. It's more universal. So since it's a method, we just turned it into a piano method, and the violin book is also coming. Ukulele book is also coming, and we're also working on the percussion book as well. So first steps of a little artist is after Guido d'Arezzo, who invented the notes about 1,000 years ago, over 1,000 years ago. First steps of a little artist is not using the notes now. But the unfortunate thing is nothing has changed after Guido d'Arezzo. Guido d'Arezzo named the notes. Now we are still using the notes in professional music life, but nothing has changed so far. So over more than 1,000 years, we are using the same thing on and not thinking about anything else. Usually in academic seminars, people ask about what is the earliest age for a child to learn the piano. And if you use the traditional methods, you see there are a lot of notes and there are a lot of different duration for the notes. And these are very simple children's songs. But even in them, even in the Jingle Bells, even in the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, you have tens of hundreds of notes. So these are just quite impossible for a kid at the age of 2. And so I started thinking about this. And so what I do is I have, for the notation, these are the beginning pages of the book. For notation, we have different stickers. We have 2 different stickers. We have one circle and we have the triangle. So the circle identifies our right hand and triangle identifies our left hand. And at the back side of the book, stickers come with the book so that you can easily pull out the stickers and put it on the piano keys, and then you can easily start the book. And the beginning pages of the book explains how to prepare the piano for the book. But first of all, we talk about how our thumb is the circle, which is the do, which is the C in America, and there is the D, which is the yellow, and there is the green and the orange and the red. So basically we cover C, D, E, F, G. And what happens with the A and B is we leave it up to the kids. We want them and we ask them to decide which finger they're going to use. And that usually gives them a very good idea because they want to decide something when they learn. Because usually in books, teachers teach them what to do. But I want to ask kids what to do and what they want to do for 2 notes that they have with A and B. And with rhythm, which is an important aspect of the music education, we change the size of the circle and the triangle. So that's easily understandable if we do that. And this is the first song of the book. Basically, you have the C, D, E, N. But when you look at this, on the keyboard, you have the circle, different colors, identifying each note, and you have the triangle with different colors identifying the left-hand notes and the right-hand notes with the circle. So that's easily, like at the first lesson, we want kids to play the song at their first glance. Because in our traditional educational approach, it's impossible for a kid to do anything at their first lesson. They can have fun, they can use the piano, they can do different clapping, they can do different rhythms, and they can do many, many different things, but they cannot play a song. And once they play a song in the first lesson, it helps their ego and also their self-confidence. So that's why it's quite important. One other important thing is when we see a kid in a lesson once a week, The kid goes home, and after a week, the kid comes back again, and usually 70% of the knowledge that they learned in the first lesson is gone. So therefore, this book is also helping parents, teaching how to teach the piano, because it's basically a color and symbol game. Just the difference is using the piano. So therefore, we ask parents to use this book at their house and teach their kids. And also, when they come to their lessons, they can also improve and learn the different songs. And I think in the book, it is quite important for me that I want kids to create something. I want them to be creative, yes, but I want also them to create something. So therefore, I added the composition pages. So in the book, they have the circles, and also later on, they have the also triangles, but without the colors. So we want them to color those notes. We give them the markers, and they color the notes, and they color the symbols. Sorry, I still say notes. They color the symbols, and they come up with simple melodies. And we ask the parents that when they compose a song, we want the kids to dedicate it to their loved ones, to their grandmothers and grandfathers and moms and dads and cousins and all that, so that they can actually remember that they did something for them out of nowhere. As I mentioned, that there's also the violin version of the book. With the violin version, the strings are different colors, different symbols, and also the colors are the different fingers, as I mentioned at the beginning. And you can see that the back side of the bridge on the violin, the teacher drew those symbols so that they can actually see it. Please let me know if you are able to hear. Now I will talk more about the special education side of it. It is quite important for me because when a kid comes to us and the kid is autistic, could be dyslexia, could be Asperger. Usually in education centers, the answer is no, your kid cannot play. Your kid cannot hold a violin. Your kid cannot play the piano. Your kid cannot understand the notes. Your kid cannot understand the differences of the notes. If it's at quarter or if it's in circles. Sometimes you see kids with mildly autistic kids also come to us. It's a lot easier for them, but sometimes it's quite impossible for them to learn the notes because it's quite difficult to differentiate the notes. With this book, actually, the foreword of the book was written by a famous psychiatrist in autism, because one of my friends, one day I was talking about the book, as I always do, and one academic friend said, "Erman, you need to use this book with autistic kids." I said, "No. I have no idea about how to teach an autistic kid. Except I had an experience back in States. I had a student, he was playing the violin, but he was already playing the violin when he came to me, and he was quite advanced. So it was easy for me to teach him. So that was my first experience, but it was not an experience, he was already playing it. But I said, no, I can't do that. But again, that night, thought came to me, and I said, if there's a chance for us to teach an autistic kid, that's going to be incredible. And so I went to young Kıyazgan, who's from Yale, and he's in Turkey now, and he's also a Turkish person. So I went to him and I said, look, professor, our friends in academia told me that this book could work with autistic kids, but I need to see proof. And also I need to have your advice on this. And he looked at it. He said, Erman, this would be great for autistic kids. And I said, no, that's not enough. Because, with the families that are going through, they are going through very tough times. And if you tell them anything positive, they will believe. So I said, that's not enough. I said, first, I would love you to write the foreword of this book, first of all, explaining why it will work with autistic kids. He said, absolutely. So that's how I got his forward. But now I said, no, I want to do pilot studies with the autistic kids. So I went to a special education center, and I said, I want to work for free, but I want to do pilot studies with your kids. They said, lovely. Teaching piano to autistic kids, lovely. So I did for 3 months, and it was incredible. Every lesson, it brought tears to my eyes because sometimes it takes years for an autistic kid to hold the fork, and sometimes it takes years for them to even hold the glass. But they were able to play the piano. So it was great for me, and I was very excited about it. And so I was mostly they would know beforehand what the colors are. And so it was easy. And I will show you a video now, and they can just easily identify the notes. With dyslexia, it was the same experience. With Asperger, it was the same experience. Because these are the things that kids learn from the very first day of their life. They learn shapes and colors. So it's easy because that's what they know. And the letters are so difficult. So it's quite difficult for them to learn the letters. But with the colors and shapes, it's a lot easier. And also there's this instrument making sounds. It's a lot more interesting. So we have had tremendous experience now. We have been doing this for 10 years now with autistic kids. And we have never had a kid that is unable to play so far. And we did projects with them in different cities, and we got funded once through a company, and we flew to a different city, and where we had 36 very heavy autistic kids, and I had an assistant with me, and he said, "Mr. Erman, this is going to be impossible. These kids are unable to speak. These kids are unable to do pretty much anything, but now we're going to teach them the piano." I said, "Maybe one will learn." So the next day we started the pilot studies, and it was incredible. We had about 16, 17 students that are easily playing the piano. We didn't have more time. I'm sure the others would also do it, but we didn't have more time with them. We would 2 days every month, and I will show you now the experience that we had with one kid especially. And you will see the first lesson and the second lesson and the third lesson of that kid, and the kid could identify the colors and the shapes, but he was not verbal. And so it was incredible. Let's see. I hope you're going to be able to also hear.
Yes.
Perfect.
Siyah daire, yeşil daire.
So this is the second lesson. In the first lesson, we taught him where the colors are. And the second lesson, the teacher is only showing the symbols on the book, and he's able to do it. In the first lesson, he just identified the notes and the colors. The second lesson, he was able to just follow and play. And the third lesson, he was playing Ode to Joy, Beethoven, the melody, both hands on the piano. And it was incredible for us. And we were very, very happy. And I was crying because I never thought that it would work. Now, every time I see that it is working, it's incredible. And we do have a lot of fun. And the interesting thing is with autistic kids, especially, the last 10 years, we have had maybe over, I don't know how many students, but 80-90% of those kids came with perfect pitch. Interestingly, with autistic kids, the perfect pitch talent is quite more frequent as opposed to the regular kids that we have. And so that's quite interesting that we are still trying to understand why. It is not like out of 100 students, 90 of them had perfect pitch. Out of maybe a total of 100 students we have total, maybe like 3 have perfect pitch. But with autistic kids, the ratio is a lot more higher. So that is one thing that we will start investigating and trying to understand what it is and why it is, if we can find the why. But so that's what we do. That's how I do. And now we are working with elderly because that's the same problem. A 2-year-old kid is having difficulty with the notes. 62-year-old person is same thing. They're also having difficulty with the notes. So we are using the book with elderly as well. And now we have students that are at the age of 62, 65. And it's quite fun for us to teach them because when it's the colors and the shape, it's easy for them and they can just easily play it. And so that's one of the things that now we are working on. And hopefully soon enough, we are going to come up with the mobile app for both tablets and for phones if possible. But that's what I do. That's how I do. And so I enjoy doing this, and we do it in many countries now. We have a lot of academic research on this, and a lot of other people are doing it now. Now the doctoral students at University of Houston did one now in Houston, and now they're doing it in Germany. And so we are in Singapore, we are in America, we are in Germany, in Austria, and we are in many countries now. So when I hear news from other people using this book, I enjoy tremendously.
How can people get their hands on the book?
Well, Boozy and Hawks sell the book out of England as of now. We are trying to reach out to more people so that they can actually do the distribution a lot easier, and in States, especially because of the shipping. But now, for now, they can buy it from Turkey, or they can buy it from England, so they can have it shipped to them.
How many books are in, so say like, do you have different levels of books? Is it like a series?
Yeah, well, first of all, now we have the first book that is out in the market now, and working on the second book for the piano, and working on the first book for violin, ukulele, and percussion, because it's the same thing. They can play the cymbals, they can play the colors, so we don't need to worry about the notes with those instruments as well. And so there will be a total of 5 books with other levels also will be published.
So it feels like kiddos catch on really quickly. So how long does it typically take for someone to get through the entire book?
Our experience shows that a year and a half with early childhood. Special education, it varies. Sometimes in a month, sometimes in a year, sometimes in 2 years. But with regular kids starting at the age of 2, they are usually done by the book at the age of 4.
And you have instructions in like English and different languages?
In English. The book is in English. That was the reason, because I wanted this book to be worldwide, so that's why it was published in English.
Hey everyone, we're so excited to announce Musical Toolkit for Parents, song-based strategies for navigating challenges and connecting with your kiddo. Families have been asking for this support for a long time, and we're excited to finally offer it to the public. If you're ready to turn daily challenges into joyful moments with your child, check out our 12-week workshop. Work directly with me, Angie Kopshai, to create personalized song-based strategies for transitions, mealtime, school, anxiety reduction, and more. Each week, we'll answer questions, and you'll get a custom song tailored to your family's needs. Just send your challenging topic at least 5 days in advance, so we have time to create the songs. Spaces are limited to keep things personal and impactful. Don't miss your chance to unlock the magic of music. Reserve your spot today before it's gone. We have a link in the show notes, or you can find more information on the shop page of our website, globalmusictherapyproject.com.
Do you ever come across kiddos who are colorblind?
Not yet, actually. Not yet. I would love
Curious, like, yeah, and if that happened, I'm curious, like, what your approach might be.
I would love to. If there's anybody listening to us, please write to me, because now we are working with blind kids. My wife has a kid who is blind, and she's at the age of 9 now, her student. And her student lives in a different city, like 8-9 hours away from Istanbul, where we live. And she's playing like Chopin's and Mozart's now. It's incredible, like the talent that she has. And the talent that we see in blind kids is also incredible. They listen, record, and play. It's incredible. And, you know, when you don't see, it seems like you hear better. And it is lovely. Every Saturday morning she has a lesson with her, and it's a joy for me to listen to them, because she's very, very talented. She doesn't see anything, not even 5%. So if there's a colorblind person, I would love to work on with them. Maybe we can come up with different ideas.
So with the blind girl, is it auditory then? It's like, is your wife playing something and she is listening? Okay.
It's I mean, she has a memory. It's incredible. She listens to everything, and it's like Chopin. It's like, 10 pages song, and she just listens once, and she says, "Can I try this?" And she plays both hands at the same time. It's incredible. I'll send you her videos. It's incredible, and she's lovely. She has too much energy. We have another blind student like that. She listens, records, and she says, "Can you play the right hand?" She plays the right hand. "Can you play the left hand?" She plays the left hand, and then she puts them all together, and it's incredible. It's lovely. So we love working with kids. We love having different ideas with kids, because education should be based on the person, especially on instrumental education. You cannot say, "This is what we do." No, this is how she or he does, and it should change from people to people. And academics, teachers should come up with different approaches, because sometimes with the regular traditional method, one person cannot do anything. But with a different method, with the same final outcome, she can do or he can do another beautiful thing. And so we should not say no or yes. We should say, let's try. And we should try different things. And that's how I came up. Otherwise, I would be a regular violin professor teaching the same old thing. Like 1,000 years ago, Guida Darvizo wrote the notes. We still use the notes in the same context, and we still use the same book that are 100 years old, and still use the same approaches that are 100 years old. But no, 21st century, it's a different period. And it should change on a daily basis sometimes.
Yeah. And the creative approach that you've taken with this, but also encouraging creativity in that student and also allowing them to take ownership, especially getting them composing and coloring, that's huge. And I feel like it's potentially, probably so gratifying for that student. It's like instant gratification.
Absolutely, because in the traditional approach, we teach them at first what they cannot do. Then we come up with different sentences. If you work on this hard enough, you will be able to do it. No. The first lesson should be a beautiful learning experience. It shouldn't be like, I love the sound, but it's so difficult lesson. No, it should be a learning experience, and they should have a different way of learning. But with the traditional method, you're going to have a kid show where the do is or the C is on the note and find that note, use one finger for that, and that's only one note. And so for one note, you have to use 3 different things, 3 different steps to play only one note. And if you even consider the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, you have tens of notes. And so who would want to play at the age of 3? Our son started at the age of 2. We are not his teachers. He has different teachers, luckily. But yeah, that's how it is. And he's now identifying the notes, and he's able to do it. And he's now 2.5. And yes, it should be a learning experience. Things shouldn't change, especially we are in the field where we can work one-to-one. Nobody can teach 50 kids how to play the violin at once. It should be one-to-one. And so therefore, if it is one-to-one, that's quite advantageous for us. We can try different things for those kids. And sometimes they are left-handed. And every book starts with right hand. With this book, with First Steps of a Little Artist, if the kid is left-handed, there is a page at the beginning of the book that asks the student and the teacher, or the parent for that matter, if the kid is left-handed. If the kid is left-handed, fine. Start at the page 36. Nothing changes. Once you learn the left hand, you're going to have an understanding of how the piano works. Then right hand will become easier. But if you start with the right hand at once, it's going to be quite difficult.
I'm wondering if you've had recitals for students that are in this, using these books?
Every year.
How do those go?
Fun. A lot of fun. They go on stage with their teacher or with the assistant, and they sit down and they just follow the notes and the symbols, and they just play simple, beautiful notes with melodies. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I get emotional, but it's a lot of fun. Because I never thought that it would be... I always thought that somebody would have thought of this, but unfortunately, no. It's been 10 years I've been working on this book. No, nobody. It's the same old traditional thing, unfortunately.
So your own son has taken lessons, not from you guys, different teacher, but can you tell me about the experience of your son practicing at home? You as parents, do you need to sit there the whole time, or how does that usually work?
Well, he's 2.5 now. With him, we try to do nothing with music because he knows that our life is based on music. My wife is a pianist, and also she's an associate professor at the university, and I'm the violinist at home. So when anything happens with music, he doesn't want to do it with us. So when he wants to practice, he's at the age of 2.5, so he doesn't really practice on a daily basis. But he has his instruments on the wall, and he says, I'm going to play the piano. And he has his piano in his room. We have a different piano. And he goes and plays and sings songs. And he loves the Nutcracker. Every day we have to listen to Nutcracker for 15 times. And so he loves the Nutcracker. He listens to Nutcracker. He sings the Nutcracker. That's practice for him. And he has his ukulele that we bought for him as a gift. And now he plays the ukulele. He doesn't even let me tune the ukulele because he says, no, you go to work to teach the violin, but at home you're the dad. So he doesn't want us to do anything with music so far. Well, because he is in our waiting room when we are on stage for recitals. We take him out, we take him with us when we travel for our recitals. So that's probably why he doesn't like us to do anything with music when he's around. That's why he has a different teacher, and it's lovely. And we enjoy having his homework from his teacher. And we say nothing because he doesn't want us to do it. He says violin and piano is work for us, so he doesn't want to see us working at home.
Yeah. But he is using the first steps of a little artist.
Yeah.
So I feel like that speaks a lot, that says a lot about the power of that book. It enables a lot of independence.
Absolutely.
You're like, nope, this is my thing.
No, yeah, and he doesn't let us touch his piano. He doesn't let us even tune the ukulele. So no, nothing. We cannot do anything. We can just peel oranges for him. Nothing else.
I love this. I'm so excited to share this. Are there ways that people can learn more about you? Or I will certainly share the video, and then I would love to provide links, but tell me if there are any other ways people can find you.
Can go to my website. In my website, it also shows how this book works, and they can also find the links for the book to buy. They can also write to me, and so that's Erman Turkili.com, which I will write to you, and they can write to me and share their experiences, and if they have any struggle, I can connect with them easily. And I would love to hear more from people in any different field of what they do, how they do, and if they have any comments, I would love to hear their comments so that I can change something in the book. And so I would love to hear from people. Thank you very much, Angie, for doing this, and it's been lovely, and we should do it more often. We can do a live session with using the book on the piano once.
I would love that. I would really, truly love to get my hands on these books too. And I know colleagues would also.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us for this interview with Erman. And we're excited to share that we're working on making First Steps of a Little Artist more accessible in the US. So stay tuned for more updates on that. Today, we're ending this episode with I Love to Brush My Teeth in Spanish. And for those of you who don't know, we have an album that was written by two music therapists and the mother of a kiddo on the spectrum called Songs for Kids on the Autism Spectrum in English. And then we recently recorded a version of this in Spanish. And the team I was working with in Ecuador was so great that we were able to add a few bonus songs. So this is one of those bonus songs, not available in English yet, besides what I sang today in the Try This tip. These songs are available for streaming on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, our website. On YouTube, we have sing-along versions of these. And there's a blog on our website, globalmusictherapyproject.com, that actually has the lyrics and the chords so that you can use this at home. Thanks again for listening. Be sure to join us next week for another episode of Cue the Magic, Sing a New Song. And if you know a family who could benefit from these resources, please share this podcast with them. And if you love what you're hearing, please leave a review and help us spread these helpful tools to even more families. See you next time.
El día fue genial, hoy me divertí, pero se hace tarde ya.